Buonasera a tutti. Good evening and welcome to the Italian Radio Hour. Io sono Viviana and I would like to welcome back our regular listeners and also welcome any new listeners. Also, be sure to like us on Instagram and Facebook at Italian Radio Hour and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch up on any past video interviews. Vorrei dare il benvenuto ai nostri ascoltatori da tutto il mondo. Grazie per essere con noi anche oggi, mentre continuiamo il nostro viaggio per l'Italia e la cultura italiana. Today with us, Mark Balistrieri, president of the Pittsburgh Italian Scholarship Fund. The Pittsburgh Italian Scholarship Fund was established with the mission of assisting academically qualified local high school graduates of Italian ancestry with their college education. And additionally, they honor a local Pittsburgh professional of Italian descent who has demonstrated meritorious distinction in his or her profession. And this year, recipients will be Mr. and Mrs. Basil and Pat Russo. So don't go anyway, stay tuned, ma prima pubblicità. Parli italiano? Do you want to learn, improve, or master your Italian? Istituto Mondo Italiano can help. Located in the heart of Regent Square, Mondo Italiano offers small group classes and one-on-one private tutoring in person or online to help you learn Italian in no time. Visit us online at www.istitutomondoitaliano.org. Well, welcome to the program. It's an honor to have you both, Mark and Basil. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I was actually very excited when Mark reached out because indirectly you and I have kind of known each other for many years because your wife was a student of Mondo Italiano many years ago. I hope everything is well. Make sure you say ciao on on my behalf. But I also was very excited to learn about the new, to me, local initiative that has actually been going on for, how long has the Pittsburgh Italian Scholarship Fund been going on?
This will be our 40th year of granting scholarships to graduating high school seniors from the Pittsburgh area. So it was established back in 1983. Started with just a few folks around the area that were successful at their businesses at Italian descent and wanted to start giving back to the community. So 40 years we've been giving scholarships out. That's a great accomplishment for us, and we still do have some of our original board members around. But it's been one of those things that it just organically has grown, and it's been great to be a part of over the 15-20 years that I've been a part of it.
Wow. So let's actually maybe go back. So Balistrieri, obviously, I tried to establish a connection between the guests and Italy. Can you tell us a little bit where your family comes from, and maybe when they came, if they came to Pittsburgh or maybe somewhere else?
So both my parents are of Italian descent. My dad's family is from Sicily, right outside of Palermo. My great-grandparents on that side immigrated in the early 1900s to Pittsburgh area, specifically to the Munhall West Homestead area where the U.S. Steel and Mesta Machine were. That's where most of my family worked over the years. And then on my mother's side, same thing. My grandfather came in 1905. My grandmother was born here in 1906. Her parents immigrated in that year actually to the same area. My mother's family is from the Campania region. My grandmother was from Naples, and my grandfather was from a town called Condrone. And we've lived in those areas, the Pittsburgh area, ever since. My family is very rooted in the Pittsburgh area, as well as in our traditions and heritage.
So growing up in an Italian-American household, can you tell us some of either the traditions or how did people get together back in the day? Because that's also when we start to see the birth of cultural associations and local groups because of kind of the need of finding like-minded individuals or people that came from a similar region. So I was just wondering if you go back to your childhood, if you have certain memories of people coming together.
Yeah, sure. For me, it was around my grandmother's house specifically. My mother is one of 8. My dad's one of 5 children. On my mother's side, I was about the middle of 14 grandchildren. I was the oldest of the grandchildren on my dad's side of about 6 there. So everything kind of centered around the family homes. Specifically, we lived right across the street from my mother's mother. We made a long trek across the street when my parents got married. And everything centered there on the weekends. My grandmother was the only girl out of 11 children. So when her parents passed away, her brothers came. So cousins, second cousins, everything centered around my grandmother's house. And to tell you the truth, didn't know any other way growing up other than family being around all the time. And closer to my cousins as probably some people are to their brothers and sisters, in growing up. And it was just a great experience growing up. And then as I got older, I came to realize that it was more of the Italian culture than it was just being, I just thought everybody lived the way that we lived, back, at that point in time, right? And then really understood it was more the Italian culture that was being lived and and being taught to us at that point in time of family being important and stressed education, which is why I've been involved in some of the things I've been involved in with over the years, and hard work and education, and why they came to the US to see that better life for everybody and everything. But it truly centered around, and same thing with my dad's family, everything truly centered around just the family being together, and that shared heritage and the values that came along with that, of the strong work ethic and the the family values and treating people kindly, and everything that goes along with that. And then of course everybody will talk about the food. We all keep the food alive, and if you were there on Sunday, my grandmother probably cooked the entire morning. So, but it all centered around, really all centered around that at the end of the day. And it's the things that, I try to keep alive, at this point with my family and my immediate family, with cousins and everything still involved as well too. And why I'm part of the organization that I'm a part of. And I got the scholarship coming out of high school, so I had an incentive to come back and give back to the organization.
So tell us more about it, so that we can really dive into the conversation about the scholarship fund, your involvement, your being a recipient, requirements. So if you can just give us all the insights for people that are interested in applying, and what that entitles them to.
Yeah, so the organization we strictly give scholarships. We don't really do. We have no other function other than trying to assist high school seniors of Italian descent and some graduate students as well too, to be able to pay for college, to be able to assist them with going to college, and hopefully in some cases when you talk to some of the students, make a decision of whether or not they go to college and chase their dreams and become successful at this point. So having done it for 30 years, we've given scholarships to over 300 students up until this point. The total amount of money we've granted is like $2.5 million of monies that we've given out. We have that's between, and then if you add in our matching funds program, which we have been able to be successful with going to local schools like Pitt and Point Park and CMU and some of the other local schools, Duquesne, they can match our scholarship up to the full grant. That really comes from the prior folks that started the organization. When I was a graduating senior way back in 1987, the original board members had started the scholarship were, you know, they were pretty much throwing their money into the scholarship and trying to build a program. And they came up with the model of naming an Italian American of the year from the Pittsburgh region, or, you know, from somebody that is effectively and positively affecting the Italian community in Pittsburgh. We've had past presidents of the National ISDA as our honorees. We've had judges and business part people, and just, you know, great. I think if you look at our organizational chart and who the folks are in the past recipients, just people that you would recognize the names of, not only from an Italian community standpoint, but from just a Pittsburgh standpoint, and their effect on Pittsburgh and the larger region of Pennsylvania and the area as well too. From a student standpoint, it's a 4-year scholarship. We give $4,000 a year, provided that the student maintains a 3.0 grade point average. So they can keep it for 4 years, so it becomes a $16,000 award to the student for their undergraduate work. If they do go to one of the matching schools, then it can potentially be a $32,000 award for the student, but that's dependent upon their financial aid and what the school has available. We do not limit our students to those matching schools. We've had students that have gone to Ivy League schools. We've had students at Notre Dame, Penn State, University of Pennsylvania, American University, Catholic University. We've had students go to a number of different schools in the area, and various degrees that they've gotten: medical, business, law, research folks, into biomedical, and just a whole, as you can imagine, with 300 students over 40 years. I don't know that we've missed a whole lot of people in educational pursuits, teaching, which I think has been great for the organization. It's a great story for us to tell, and has helped a lot of families along the way.
And the requirement, in addition to the academic requirements, is to prove that they have at least one Italian descent. So is that the case?
Yeah, we try to maintain at least 25% Italian descent, so one grandparent, basically. As time goes on, it's been interesting that we've not really had to break tradition with that for the most part. But it's been, that's the Italian portion. And then, of course, there's a merit based upon their grades, so forth. And then we also do take into account financial need of the student as well too. Our process is every January we open up our applications for the graduating seniors of that year, for undergraduate students, and then we go through a first review of the applications, select however many we're going to select for interview round, depending on the number of scholarships we give. We've been pretty steady in giving at least 6 scholarships a year. We'll give 6 again this year, and then they go through an interview process, and we select the students from there. It's a great process really to be a part of, in that we get to meet a lot of really good kids, get to know some of their families and their stories, and hopefully as well too, get them to start thinking about their Italian heritage and what it means to them. We do videos for our dinner and awards banquet that'll be happening on August 13th, where we ask the student to tell us a little bit about their heritage, and it's part of the application. We ask them to write a small essay about their Italian heritage and their family as well too. So so get them to prompt thinking about that. As I said, when I was 17, I didn't know that it was my Italian heritage that we were living so much as it was just my family. And so, it started me thinking more about, like, being Italian and being of that descent, and what that, what Italy's contributed to the world, what Italian Americans have contributed to the country, and then specifically, maybe come a little bit closer to that, hopefully, through this process for the students.
Absolutely. So let's dive into the beautiful event that is going to open on Tuesday. It's going to happen on Tuesday, August the 13th at the Valley Brook Country Club. You have the Golf Classic and Scholarship Award dinner. Tell us a little bit about the format of the event, and can we still get tickets for that?
Yes, absolutely. We can still get tickets. We can take golf and dinner reservations up till August 7th this year, which is a Wednesday. So certainly can do that. You could reach out to myself or go to our webpage, PISF.us, and there's a contact section that will send an email to a few of us, and we'll be able to get you into the dinner. For the format of the dinner, this is our one fundraiser of the year. We do the one fundraiser of the year. We have golf for the afternoon. We have an Italian lunch beforehand with probably my favorite part of the day, of the hot sausage and the frittatas and everything of that nature, the caprese salads. Then we have golf. We have a cocktail hour where we'll have we have live music. Of course, Italian music playing at that point in time. And then that leads us into our banquet and awards, where all of our students will be there. The 600 grad students, we'll award them their scholarships, play their videos. And then throughout the day, we will recognize Basil and Pat Russo as our Italian Americans of the Year, and allow them to tell their story of their heritage and how they've gotten involved with the Italian community. And I'll let Basil speak for some of the things he's done within the Italian community, and enjoy another dinner or Italian hors d'oeuvres, Italian dinner. So throughout the day, just making a great day of it to celebrate the students, Basil and Pat, and our heritage all together in one day.
Okay, wonderful. It sounds like definitely an event not to be missed. Again, we'll put the date and links to the event and how to secure your tickets. Or if you do have a business or an organization and you would like to be part of their booklet, also, you should actually hurry up, because probably there is only 1 week left to submit your artwork, but we'll make sure that we'll have all that information for everyone. Well, Basil, you have been extremely patient. Actually, I should introduce you as Cavaliere Basil Russo, because many are the fronts that you have been bringing forward as far as the conversation of being Italian American and the rapport between Italy and the Italian American community. So we wanted to thank you very much for everything that you have been doing, serving as the national president of both the Italian Sons and Daughters of America and its affiliates, the ISDA Financial Life. I think this might be your 10th anniversary as well. I think the number 4 seems to be recurring. 1984, 2014, we are in 2024. I would like to take this opportunity to find out a little bit about you also growing up, where your family came from, some of the flavors of you growing up Italian, and anything that you would like to share with us.
Sure. It's a pleasure to be with you today. My wife and I are very happy and very excited to be participating in the Pittsburgh Italian Scholarship Fund. It's a great program. I've been involved with many organizations throughout the country that have scholarship programs. But quite frankly, the program in Pittsburgh, by far and away, appears to be the best that I've ever experienced. Their scholarships are very, very generous. They have raised a very significant amount of money throughout the years, and they set a great example for many other organizations throughout the country in terms of the way they handle their scholarship program. The fact that they went out and got 14 colleges to agree to match the funds that these young people will receive, which makes a huge, huge difference in the life of these young students. As far as my family's concerned, my parents are, I'm getting a little bit of feedback on my end. Is that,
That is, I didn't want to interrupt you, but that is also what we're getting on our end as well. I don't know if being too close to the microphone or too far away. And I believe you might be connected only on just one device, but let's continue. We'll try to do our best.
okay, very good. To give you a little bit of background on my family, all four of my grandparents were born in three little hilltop villages in Sicilia. I had two grandparents. My father's parents were both born in a city called Longi, which is near Sant'Agata di Mitello in the Messina province. My mother's mother was born in San Fratello, which is a stone's throw from Longi in the same area of the Messina province. And my mother's father was born in a little town called Cacamo, which is about 40 minutes outside of Palermo. So all four of my grandparents were born in Sicily. My wife's parents were born in a little town called Spoltore in the province of the Abruzzo. The town is very close to Pescara. So my grandparents all immigrated to the U.S. between 1908 and 1912. They settled in the Cleveland area, and Pat and I met when we were still in high school. We're married shortly after we got out of school, and we'll be celebrating our 57th anniversaries within a few months.
Wow, congratulations.
A beautiful life together. The biggest influence in my life was the fact that I grew up in the same home with my mother's parents, my grandparents, my maternal grandparents. They had a profound influence on my life as a youngster. I spent a great deal of time in my grandmother's kitchen, listening to the stories that she would tell me about her childhood in her hometown in Sicily, and all of the stories that she had to tell me after they arrived in this country. She would inevitably sit me down at the table, bring out her photograph book, start pointing to different black and white photographs that she had, and there was a very beautiful story associated with every photograph. And as she got older, I would hear the stories over and over again, but never got tired of listening to them. Gave me a strong tie to Sicily, made me want to go back and connect with Sicily as I got older. My wife and I have made several trips back to Italy, to those villages and to the village that my wife's parents were from as well. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's still on my end or not. Am I creating a problem for you with feedback? I don't have any other devices on, but
a little bit, but your voice is clear enough that I'm sure our listeners will be very fine with it. There is a little bit, but you are still very clear.
Okay, very good. Quite frankly, my relationship, or I should say the influence that my grandparents and my parents had on me had a profound effect upon me as I grew older. They're all deceased now, and my motivation to get involved extensively in the Italian American community and to preserve the heritage in our community and to celebrate our Italian American heritage was my way of showing honor and respect to the memory of my parents and my grandparents. I wanted to make them proud, and I know it would make them happy to know that I was doing whatever I could do to embrace that heritage, to preserve the heritage and to try and pass the heritage on to younger generations. We've tried to do that through the Italian Sons and Daughters of America. In my 10th year as president of that organization, quite frankly, it's always been a wonderful organization, but historically it was a regional organization. It didn't develop its complete potential. So we've taken the organization and we've built it up dramatically. We have a wonderful newspaper that my wife and I started back in 2016 called La Nostra Voce, which is a 28-page paper that comes out monthly. It is exceptionally well done. We think it is one of the best newspapers in the country. We also developed a significant social media communication site to connect with younger generations, because the older generations of Italian Americans weren't raised on social media, weren't comfortable with it, didn't utilize it. And as a result, we weren't connecting with younger generations. So we now have a following of 725,000 people on Facebook, the largest following of any Italian American organization throughout our country. We also have endeavored to build the membership of the organization significantly. Fraternal organizations, irrespective of whether they're Italian or Polish or Hungarian or whatever, have historically all lost membership since World War II. They're all declining in membership. We've reversed that trend. We are building our membership by connecting with younger people. Our membership has grown over 20% in the last 5 years alone. We also, one of our great past presidents, federal judge Ruggiero Aldezert, had the foresight to create an insurance company back in 1960, because all of these organizations, when they were originally formed, were formed with the purpose of providing financial assistance to their members in the event somebody lost their job or an event the breadwinner passed away, and the family would become destitute, because in those days there was no unemployment compensation, no workers' compensation, no Social Security, no food stamps, no welfare, no anything. So if the breadwinner died, you only had the members of your own community to come to your assistance to help make sure that you didn't wind up being put out on the street or not having enough money to feed your family. Fraternal organizations always charged nominal dues, and those dues were used to support families that needed help when the breadwinner died or became incapacitated. So we carried that one step farther, and we established an insurance company in 1960. When I became president of the ISDA, the insurance company had about 60 million in assets that it had acquired over 54 years. From 2014 until today, in that 10-year period, we've gone from $60 million to $361 million. And we'll be hitting 400 million this year. So we have now created the largest Italian-American insurance and annuity company in the United States. We do that because we're not a company that attempts to make a profit for its shareholders or has a lot of expensive officials and officers' salaries to pay. We take our profits and we use those profits to give our members better interest on their annuity investments with us and to provide better products for them. And that's why we've been able to grow so dramatically. And we're able to use some of the money we make to promote programs that benefit the Italian-American community and help preserve our heritage. Two of those programs are the Russo Brothers Italian-American Filmmakers Forum and the Italian-American Future Leaders program. And I'll briefly explain both of those because they're very, very important programs. My family founded the Russo Brothers Italian American Filmmakers Forum back in 2017. The purpose of it was to provide grants to aspiring filmmakers who are willing to make films that depict the Italian American experience in a positive way. Why is that important? It's important because historically, the most prevalent negative stereotype that has existed in our country has been the association of Italian Americans with organized crime. We've seen that stereotype being perpetuated over and over and over again by the news media, by Hollywood, and television shows, in motion pictures. It is a grossly exaggerated and unfair stereotype of our community. And as a result, many of the wonderful things our community has done are overlooked or ignored as a result of that stereotype. So I went to my sons and I suggested to them that we have to change the mindset in Hollywood. We have to begin to get young filmmakers to think about the positive, constructive, wonderful things that Italian Americans have contributed to this country, as opposed to young filmmakers wanting to make more films that depict us in a negative manner. So we give away grants every year. To this point, we've given away 48 grants totaling $450,000 to aspiring young filmmakers who are making movies that show our history in a positive, constructive light. One of those films has been playing on public broadcast stations throughout the country. It explores the enemy alien designation that Italian Americans suffered. The parents of Italian Americans who were living in this country suffered during World War II when they were designated as enemy aliens. More Italian fought to defend this country in World War II than any other ethnicity. We had over 1 million Italian American boys fighting and dying to defend this country in the South Pacific and in Europe during World War II, while 600,000 of their parents or aunts or uncles who were not yet American citizens, but who were living in this country, were designated as enemy aliens and treated as criminals. They were subject to their property being confiscated. They were subject to losing their jobs. They were subject to being relocated out of their homes. And some of them were placed in internment camps. Again, they were being treated like criminals while their sons were fighting and dying to protect our freedoms. What a tragic sense of irony was associated with that entire situation. But many Americans don't appreciate it and don't understand the sacrifices that Italian Americans made to protect this country. And that movie helped to explain that in much greater detail to help educate not only our community, but all Americans as to the important sacrifices that we have made on behalf of this country. So the Filmmakers Forum is an outstanding program. We're very proud of it. Just 2 years ago, we also, and by the way, the ISDA sponsors, as a co-sponsor of the Filmmakers Forum, along with my family.
Yes, we have actually had the pleasure of interviewing Zach Baliva with the movie that you were just talking about. We had Alessia Crucitelli with Leaving the Factory, Peter Ferrero with Il Messaggero. So as soon as we see who is the new the winners of the following year, we trying to connect with them to give them exposure as well, and very much appreciating the funds coming from the Russo brothers. And the stories are all very compelling. So I must agree firsthand, having seen all of the, most of the productions, that is indeed the case. So.
Thank you. We appreciate
Sorry for the
you.
interruption.
That's all right. We appreciate you promoting those young filmmakers in their movies, because they sacrifice a great deal of their time to make those films. And of course, there's nothing more important to them than for people to view their work. And so you help to expose a larger audience to the wonderful projects that many of the wonderful films that many of these people have produced. The other program I wanted to talk about was the Italian American Future Leaders Conference. I also had another organization called the Conference of Presidents of Major Italian American Organizations. It's our large national umbrella organization. It was formed, it'll be celebrating its 50th anniversary next year. It was formed in New York City, and it had about 30 to 35 members, but they were all from the tri-state area. They were all from New York City, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Was not a very active organization until recently. They would get together once a year in New York and have a luncheon and talk about what their respective groups were doing. But our biggest problem historically has been that the Italian American community has not been united and has not worked well together as other groups have in this country. When you look at the successes that the Jewish community has had, you look at many of the successes that the African American community has had, they've been able to accomplish a great deal because their organizations worked together and assisted one another in accomplishing collective goals. Our community didn't. When our people came here, they didn't even understand that they were Italian. All they knew was that they were from some little paese town. Maybe they appreciated the fact that they were Sicilian or Calabrese or Abruzzese or whatever, but there was no connection among all of them as Italians. They didn't appreciate that till they got here. And America, in the course of vilifying them and treating them as second-class citizens in this country for many, many years, identified them as Italian Americans. So we needed to find a way to try and get our community unified at the national level. So I got elected to the Conference of Presidents in 2020 and began traveling the country to convince other organizations to join the conference so we could all start working together collectively. I've grown the membership from 35 organizations to now we are 67 organizations. We have organizations from California, Nevada, Iowa, Arizona, Louisiana, Illinois, Ohio, all over the country. And we're now all working together. We have the Italian American Bar Association, which is all the lawyers and judges in the country belong to our group. The Italian American War Veterans belongs to our group. The Italian American One Voice Coalition, which is our anti-defamation organization, belongs to our group. We have many, many entities. And in fact, the Pittsburgh Italian Scholarship Fund recently joined the group as well. We were proud to accept them as a member of the organization. So we now have 67 organizations working together to elevate the stature of the Italian American community throughout our country so that we can have the same voice and the same influence in deciding or in helping to shape the collective culture of this country as all other groups have. And it worked out well for us. We have had an Italian American Heritage Month event at the White House this past October, celebrating our Heritage Month. It's the first time in the history of our country that our Heritage Month has been celebrated at the White House by bringing in Italian-American leaders from throughout the country to collectively celebrate that heritage together, and by having the White House acknowledge the fact that our Heritage Month exists, that it's important, and that it deserves attention for the accomplishments we've made to this country. So that was a huge step forward for our community. Just a matter of a few weeks ago, we had an event in Pittsburgh celebrating the contributions that Italian-American women have made to our country by focusing a spotlight on many of those contributions. The First Lady, Jill Biden, is the first Italian-American to serve or to hold the position of First Lady in this country. She is the first person of Italian descent to live in the White House, despite the fact that it's been around for 248 years now. So we need to celebrate those kind of accomplishments when they occur. So we invited her to speak at our event about her Italian-American heritage and why it was important to her, what impact it had on her life. And she graciously came to the event and spoke to us about her great-grandparents, her grandparents, her parents, the way that they had emigrated here from the first generation had emigrated here from Italy, the various jobs that they performed, the various prejudices that they suffered in this country, and how it had influenced her life, and the fact that she's proud of the fact that she has that Italian heritage. So that was another milestone for us. So we're looking for ways to focus a positive spotlight on our community. We're looking for ways to celebrate the positive aspects of our heritage so that everybody in America can become aware of the Italian-American community, the sacrifices that we've made for this country, and how we've made significant contributions to this country. But back to the Future Leaders Conference. We're concerned because we feel a connection to the heritage because we had a connection, Mark, I had a connection to the immigrant generation, as have so many older Italian Americans. And as a result, we feel a strong connection to Italy. Younger generations of Italian Americans have not had that tie to the immigrant generation. Though their immigrant ancestors were deceased before many of these young people were born. So they didn't have the influence that we had growing up. They didn't hear the stories. They didn't grow up in the house where there were festive Sunday dinners by 10, 15, 20 members of the family would get together and keep the heritage alive by talking and working together. So we had to find a way to try and connect with these young people to get them to identify with the Italian heritage, to get them to develop a pride in the heritage, and to get them to begin assuming leadership positions in our various organizations all over the country. We did that by forming the Italian American Future Leaders Group. John Viola, who's one of the vice presidents of the Italian Sons and Daughters of America from New York City, Patrick O'Boyle, who's another one of the ISDA's vice presidents from New Jersey, brought the idea to me. We sat down and discussed it extensively, and we decided that we were going to go out and raise the funds to create this program. So in January of 2023, we held the first Italian American Future Leaders Conference in Fort Lauderdale at the Amerarant Arena, which is where the Florida Panthers hockey team plays their home games. The Viola family owns the Panther team, and they donated the use of the facility to us. We brought in 100 young Italian Americans from around the country between the ages of 21 and 35 who had exhibited leadership skills. We brought them in for an all-expense paid weekend, 3-day weekend, where we got them to connect with one another. We got them to understand what was important about our Italian heritage, why they should identify with it and embrace it, and how they could go about assuming leadership positions in our community. We didn't know what to expect when we first tried it, but it turned out to be hugely, hugely successful. These young people had a wonderful time. They connected with one another in a very meaningful way, to the point where they began regarding each other as extended family. And that group came back this past January for the second event. They came back as advisors to help us with the new group that came in this year. So we had 200 young people attend the event this year. And next year, we're hopeful that we're going to get 300 to 400 young people coming to that event as well. This is a marvelous program that is allowing the heritage to be communicated to the young leaders in our country. Because if we couldn't find a way to do that, what would happen very simply is that when the older generation died, the heritage in this country would die with them and would be lost. And we cannot allow that to happen. And this program ensures that that will never happen.
Before
go ahead.
That's actually, I have met participants, and the excitement that they bring back. They're very excited to be selected, super excited to be there, but also when they come back, spreading all that knowledge, those new friendships, and that new motivation to really take their heritage into their hands and express it in the 21st, in their own way, because obviously social media allows people to communicate without any boundaries. Well, before I ask you a couple other questions, and also Mark, you can always feel free to comment. I do have a couple of words from our sponsors. Applying for Italian citizenship, need documents translation. Istituto Mondo Italiano provides certified translations and assistance services. Be sure to visit us at istitutomondoitaliano.org and schedule your free consultation. Un caffè, per favore. My first cup of coffee sets the tone for my entire day, and I get my coffee at La Prima Espresso. La Prima has been brewing Pittsburgh's best coffee for nearly 35 years. Try any of their in-house roasted varieties of beans from all over the world at home, or come and enjoy an espresso or a cappuccino at any of their locations, where their friendly baristas and familiar faces will make you feel at home. Visit laprima.com to get La Prima Espresso coffee at your door. So another question that I had, Basil, you also been coming to Italy to meet with the government officials and trying to strengthen the relationships between Italy and their understanding of everything that is happening on our side of the pond. And I was wondering if you maybe could share some of the highlights or some of those conversations, some of the pressing topics, some of the opportunities, or maybe some of the challenges that those meetings have presented.
Sure, I'd be glad to. In addition to uniting Italian Americans throughout our country, one of the other goals that I established for myself was to try to find ways to create a stronger bond between Italian Americans and Italy. The reason is because with each new generation, the bond becomes weaker and weaker. Our grandparents had parents, sisters, brothers living in Italy. They had very, very strong ties. Their children maybe had uncles and aunts and first cousins there. But with each generation, the tie becomes weaker and weaker to the point now where you've got young Italian Americans in this country today that have no strong blood ties in Italy. Maybe they have a fourth or fifth cousin whom they've never met. So as a result, the bond that once existed is much weaker today. So when I first got elected to the presidency of the Conference of Presidents in 2020, I called the Italian ambassador in Washington, Mariangela Zappia. I introduced myself to her, told her I had just been elected to this position, and I asked her if she would be willing to host a reception at her home in Washington so that we could bring all the leaders of the Italian American organizations to her home to meet her staff so that we could begin to develop a stronger tie between our community and the leaders in Italy. She agreed to do so. We had a wonderful reception at her home, and that began the process of strengthening the relationship. I then asked her to set up meetings for us in Italy so that we could take the Italian American leaders from our country to Italy in order to take them to Italy in order to again meet the Italian leaders and develop a relationship there. We went to Italy a few years ago. We met with the important leaders in the Chamber of Deputies. We met with the important leaders in the foreign ministry. We met with the members of the Italian Supreme Court, and then we went to the Vatican and had meetings with the Vatican Secretary of State and Pope Francis. We had a private audience with Pope Francis. So that was a very, very important trip because it allowed us to connect with the Italian governmental leadership and with the leaders of the Catholic Church. So we have a much stronger relationship now that benefits both Italy and the Italian American community. We're trying to utilize that relationship in order to work together on cultural issues that affect both Italy and the United States, and to promote trade between the U.S. and Italy as well.
Wonderful. So there is indeed a lot of work that has been done, and there is still, the conversation needs to occur every single day to continue, again, bridging all the Italian experiences that everyone has. Whereas children of people like myself, those have been there because we're all sharing the same DNA pool. It looks like indeed the three F's: the family, the friends, and let's put also the food, but mainly, you know, the values that really makes us create that common conversation, that common DNA is there. And again, everyone has different ways of expressing their Italianness, their Italian American, and in a very inclusive way. I thank you very much for everything that you do and you represent. Mark, you see, from when you got the scholarship and you were 17, if some of those initiatives were already in place, I can see you probably having a grand time at the Conference of Future Leaders, right?
Right. That would have been a great thing to be at. Absolutely. We certainly would. We will encourage our students and try to assist them with attending that when they're eligible to attend it going forward, because I think they fit the category and fit the profile that Basil talked about very well.
Mm-hmm. Let's actually remind our audience again some of the details of the event, because we're coming up towards the end of our program, so I want to make sure that everyone is not missing out on this great event that the Pittsburgh Italian Scholarship Fund is organizing. So Mark, I'll give it to you one more time. Give us everything we should know.
Sure. So the event is Tuesday, August 13th at Valley Brook Country Club in McMurray, Pennsylvania. And dinner and cocktail hour start at 5 o'clock. Cocktail hour is on their patio with music and hors d'oeuvres. And then dinner starts at 6 that evening for the awards and the presentations. At that point, if you'd like to golf starts, lunch starts at 10 o'clock in the morning at Valley Brook Country Club, and then we generally tee off around 11:30 or so. Allow for folks to get from the golf course to the cocktail hour and enjoy the entire day. If folks are looking to attend, please go to PISF.us and click on the contact us. There's phone numbers and email addresses to send information to. You can contact myself at Mark Balistrieri, BALISTRIERI @gmail.com. Also, if you want to just contact me directly. If you're looking to come to dinner again, reservations and/or golf by August 7th. If you'd like to add into our ad book, by July 31st is the deadline that we'll need to place your ad in the ad book as well too. Generally, we have about 280 to 300 people that attend dinner every year, all from mostly from the Pittsburgh area, and hopefully for a fun evening.
Absolutely. So, Basil, if you were to give kind of a last minute words of wisdom to the new generations getting to explore their Italian heritage, do you have della nonna? Do you have something that you would like everyone to kind of do that they can do on a daily basis?
Well, I think it should be a goal for all young people to make a trip to Italy as soon as they are able to do so. And prior to doing so, to do as much research as they can about their family history, so that the trip is not just going to Rome and Florence and Venice, but the trip should include going to their family's village and exploring the simplicity and the beauty of where their ancestors came from, finding some new relatives, perhaps seeing a church where the relatives were baptized, and perhaps the home is still standing where some of their relatives were born. We take all of our grandchildren there as they start getting into their late teens, where we feel they're old enough to appreciate that connection, identify with it, and develop a meaningful relationship with their Italian heritage, and it produces great results. And I would strongly encourage all young people to make that trip to Italy.
Thank you very much. So unfortunately, our time together is up. Il Big Ben ha detto stop, and it's time for us to say arrivederci e alla prossima. We want to thank you for tuning into the program. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have any topics you would like us to address, please contact us at theitalianradiohour@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And remember, if you or any of your family and friends have missed a prior episode or would like to listen to this episode again, subscribe to the Italian Radio Hour on YouTube or where you catch your favorite podcasts. I would like to thank my guests, Mark Balistrieri e Cavaliere Basil Russo, our sponsors, Istituto Mondo Italiano and La Prima Espresso. And until next time, alla prossima. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, thank you.
Ciao.